All right, good morning. So today I wanted to do a 2022 reading wrap up. So this year I've read a total of 30 books, which you might be thinking, that's not a lot. It isn't. Well, it is. It is for me, but majority of the reading happened in like the last half of the year. I actually, from August to December, I think was probably like 15 to 20 of the books. Mainly because I went traveling to England. There was a lot of like travel in between places, so I like had to do something, so I decided to read. And that's kind of how my reading kick started. I always have liked to read, but I really like started getting into reading in the last 4 months of the year of 2022. Anyway, so we're gonna get into my reads. So Goodreads says that my shortest book was 104 pages, and that was A Christmas Carol. And then my longest was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, which was 912 pages, and that is probably the reason why it took me so long to read. Average book length, 359, not bad. And then my average rating is 3.7 stars. So starting off strong, my first read was The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars, apparently. I read it mainly because of it was like a nostalgia buy, and then I was feeling nostalgic, so I was like, I'm gonna pick it up and see what I think. My mum, I just have a vivid memory of my mum reading it to me when I was sick and like 7 years old, and it's always kind of like had a special place in my heart. But next one is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I give this one, again, 3 out of 5 stars. You will kind of find that most of my reads are 3 out of 5. I'll tell you my rating system, actually. So 1 star is just like the worst thing I've ever read. You know what I mean? It's just really shit, and I don't like it. Number 2, just boring. You know, like, it was just not good, but also like really boring, but not like so bad that it needs to give a 1 star. And then 3, just good, you know, like I enjoyed it. It's not favorite. I won't necessarily read it again, but it was a pretty good read. And then 4, amazing. You know, just like quality writing, the story was good. Like, even if it's not a book I want to read, I can appreciate it for what it was and the fact that it was good. And then 5 is just a book that I love unconditionally. You know, like it just holds a special place in my heart. It could be absolute garbage, but I love it. So that's kind of the general, like it just kind of changed my star ratings and stuff. But yeah, so that is anyway. So Order of the Phoenix, I give 3 stars. Just like to say right now, J.K. Rowling sucks. I've always wanted to know the backstory, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go trudge through it and then never read them again. You know, I just kind of personally wanted to know all the things that are in the book that aren't in the movies. So the Order of the Phoenix, I found it very slow at the start, like the first half of the book, super slow. And Harry was extremely annoying. Like, yeah, I know you're traumatized, but it's not good to read. And it took me literally a year to read. It took me so long. It was one of those books where it's just slow at the start, and I'm like, I don't really want to pick it up. And Harry's just being annoying, and he's stuck in a house, and he's like pissed off at everyone. I do, like, they have all kind of blurred together. So even though I've seen the movies and like I grew up with the movies and I know all the plots and stuff, I can't distinguish what happens in each movie. I can't really remember. So I think this one was a lot more serious stuff. Not serious, like Harry and Sirius talking and stuff. And I do like that because, you know, he dies so early when he like is introduced. It's like the next book that he dies. Of the 2 books after that. But anyway, it always made me so sad that Harry and Sirius never got to like spend so much time together, but like they do have a bit more time together, which I liked. It seems though I'm on Harry Potter, I may as well continue talking about it. So then after that, I did read Half-Blood Prince. Again, a 3 out of 5. You know, it's like good reading. After reading this book, I was very much like, how on earth did Harry name his child after Snape? I really don't understand it. Like, in the movies maybe, you know, you find out like, oh, he loved him all along. But in the books, that's not there. He doesn't love Harry all along. He loves his mother and he hates Harry. So he was such an asshole in this. I don't get how he could have, that little detail could have redeemed everything, you know? And then may as well finish off the series with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Now, I gave this one a 4 stars. Again, really long, a bit slow. The start, like the bit where they're just like looking and just sitting and they're trying to find a Horcrux, but they have no idea where they are. That is like 300 pages of book, and it was a bit too long for my liking, that bit. Just like, they were so long, and I don't really think they needed to be. I mean, they did kind of, but like, some of the stuff I'm like, all right, this isn't necessary. I mainly gave Deathly Hallows a 4 out of 5 because of that one scene at the end where he's gonna face Voldemort and he has the Resurrection Stone and he's talking to his parents. I thought that was like a brilliant scene. That was quality writing and quality storytelling, and I cried. Like, I thought it was so emotional. Like, he's thinking he's about to die, he's come to terms with it, he's talking to his parents, he's like, it's very wholesome, it's very sad, and it's just lovely. I couldn't get past the fact that his mum died at the age of 23. And Harry, in that part, was I think 17 or 18. And it just wigs me out a bit. I'm just like, so he's 17 talking to his 23-year-old mother. So that's the Harry Potter series. I think I gave them roughly 3 out of 5s. Most of the rest of them. I read the rest of them like over the past like 2 or 3 years. I can't remember. It's taken me so long to get through the books. Moving on, I don't have these as physical copies, but we have the Heartstopper series, like the comic book series. Heartstopper is without a doubt my favorite TV show ever made. I love it, like, with all my heart. It's just a beautiful piece of television. It makes me very happy. I watch it over and over again. I actually had to stop myself from watching it so much. I'm just worried I'm going to ruin it for myself. So I've had to tell myself, all right, that's enough. I generally give most of them 5 stars. Like, I love them because of the show. Like, I have to, you know, it's just beautiful. I read them when I was in England. I downloaded them onto my computer, like the PDF ones, because it was just like from Tumblr, is where I found it. And I just read them while I was just on my computer, like when I was just sitting doing nothing. And I read them all in like 1 night or 2 nights, and they were just very wholesome, but also like really sad. It is hard to see these characters like go through so much, but unfortunately that's just the story that they have to tell. But I love these characters. I mean, everyone does. It's Heartstopper. Everyone understands. So I read them because of the show. I didn't read them and then watch the show. But yeah, so beautiful. Love those. Anyway, so that's Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. Next book that I read was Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. I read this one on the plane as I was going to England. Most of the stories behind this is I've read them when I was in England, just by the way, because that's when I started reading a lot. So I took this on the plane because it's a book that I bought firsthand, and I was like, I really want to read this, but if I'm on the plane, I'm like forcing myself to read it because that's all I have to read. So I read it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It was very educational. It was very interesting. It really like opened my mind to what death is in our society, and the fact that death used to be like a massive part of our lives, like not even 100 years ago, when people were literally dying on the streets because of the plague and all that jazz, and like it was just very common to just have people dying left, right, and center, you know. And like used to be allowed to sit with the bodies. Like, if you see someone that you know has died and it's natural causes and you know that for a fact, you're allowed to just sit with the body and grieve and just be sad about that, and you don't have to call the police straight away. Like, you are allowed to like touch a dead body, and you're allowed to like have it around you and you not get sick or anything like that. Like, it's not this just like biohazard, you know, which I found very interesting to learn about. And also it talks about it just talks about the process of like people in crematories and like how they burn the bodies, and like when people embowel the bodies. I don't think that's the right word, but anyway, and just like the process of what we do with the dead. And it did make me think a lot about death and think about my own death and what I want. It was very interesting, and it did change my outlook on death and life, really. and that it's not a scary thing, it's a certain thing, but we hide it as a society because we're like, oh, we don't like the dead, we don't like thinking about that anymore. But so we kind of like keep it hidden in the background and like it's taboo. Anyway, so that I gave 4 out of 5. It was very interesting, a very good book, very well written. And then I kind of went through, I read a lot of Alice Oseman this year, like most of her books. When again, this time I was in Paris. I went to Shakespeare and Company, which I've mentioned that shop before, and I was looking for the book I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. I saw it on it, she was posting about it on the new covers on her Instagram, and I was like, this looks like a very cute love story and looks so wholesome, and I love that. It's about I believe she's a Muslim teenage girl who is meeting a friend in like London, and they're gonna go to a concert for the boy band that they are obsessed with, you know, like it's their whole life. It's just about her and her love for this boy band, and she meets the stars kind of thing. And I read that synopsis and I'm like, oh my god, I love that idea. It's gonna be the best love story that I've ever read. It turns out it's not a love story. I got halfway through and I'm like, the characters have not met each other yet, and they're nowhere near meeting each other. I don't think they're gonna actually fall in love. Also, I'm pretty sure we find out that the main guy is gay, I think. I'm pretty sure that's a plot line. So I was like, okay, they're not gonna end up together. But even that considering, I loved it. It was great. It was such a wholesome story. It was very cute. Actually, this book, when I was reading it, I've never read a book that has been more relevant to my life at the time. It's not the plotline you would think. It's not the friend plotline. It's the meeting someone that you're a fan of plotline. But yeah, and I was reading it and I'm like, this is my life right now. It's wigging me out. But anyway, I loved it. It was a 4 out of 5 stars for me. I find that Alice Oseman books are very easy to read as well. Like the stories are kind of, I suppose they're kind of tough because they are about mental illness and like mental health, and other things as well. Like that one was very much about religion, and there was the main male protagonist is trans as well, so there was like that trans storyline. So she does write about kind of difficult topics and like important topics, but she still manages to write something super wholesome and just somehow resonates with every aspect of my life. I don't know how she does it. I may as well talk about the other ones I read of hers. So I did also read Nick and Charlie, the short story. So because like the novellas were written before the graphic novels, and like because they were also, she was writing them on Tumblr, like they were coming out, I don't know when, like maybe every week or something, but I never kept up with that. But because they were like so far apart and like so different, her characters have developed over time, and I find that both the novellas for Nick and Charlie and This Winter, the characters are very different, especially different from the TV show as well. I mean, maybe they've grown because this is them older and then they're younger in the graphic novels, but yeah, the characters were very different. I give Nick and Charlie a 3 stars, and then This Winter I give again 3 stars. So like they were good, but also like they weren't the characters. I didn't like seeing the characters where they were, like just because they were in Nick and Charlie, they were arguing all the time, and it's just so hard for me to see them arguing when I'm like, but you are true love, so what are you talking about? But still very good, and I will take any Nick and Charlie content, but it was just kind of hard to read them not getting along. I did also read Solitaire, and I gave that one a 4 out of 5. I'm very interested to see how this will tie in with the series, and like if the series will cover Solitaire, because I mean, spoiler alert, they burned down the school. So I'm just kind of intrigued to see how that goes. But yeah, so again, give that one a 4 out of 5 stars. Alice Oseman's just great. She knows how to write a good book. Next book is The Binding by Bridget Collins. So my dad, when we were in England, he saw this at an op shop and he had already read it, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna get you this book because I've read it and I loved it and I think you'll like it too. So he bought it for me at the op shop, and then I read it in England. I read it, most of these books I read within a few days. I think they were So I Was Born for This and The Binding were both books that I just like read so fast. And it wasn't necessarily because I was traveling a lot, I just couldn't put it down. Like I was reading The Binding just like whenever I could, because I just really enjoyed the story. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I did not expect this book to be a love story. So the plot is that there is this type of person who can do a sort of magic where they can take memories from a person and put them into a book, and then the person forgets about it, and then the memories are in the book. And like these people are seen as witches, and like people don't really like them, and there's this love story going on between these two boys. It's kind of love story, but like in the present day it isn't a love story, but then the past it is a love story. Yeah, but it was just very well written, and the story was really good, and it's a gay romance, which ticks all the boxes for me. It was just beautiful. And the next book that I have is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. So this book is again a gay romance. You'll find there's a theme with my romances, and that they're always gay romances. I don't know why, I just think they are the most wholesome content, and I just love it so much. So this one is about the Prince of England and the son of America's president coming together and being in love. I did enjoy it. I didn't understand the political side of the plot, like at all. There was a lot going on, and I'm like, I don't understand why this is an issue, and I don't understand why this is an aspect of the story. It wasn't super hard, I just kind of wasn't paying attention, so I didn't fully get the gist. I also don't understand why a first son and a prince can't be together. Like, yes, there's homophobia in the world, I understand that part, but they kind of made it seem like there was something deeper than that going on, and I'm like, is it a political thing where different political figures in different countries can't get together? Because they made it seem like that. They were like, you can't cross over, that's like bad. I don't know, I don't understand that part, but I give that a 3 out of 5. It was cute, but it wasn't just love. So the next one, I actually have this book. So we got Anne of Avonlea by L.M. Montgomery, and then also Anne of the Island by M.L. Montgomery. So this book, again, took me so long to read. It was another one where it took me a year. Towards the end of the year, I was like, I am going to finish all the books that I've started, and this was one of them, and I just sat down and I forced myself to read it. So I went into this one thinking that Anne and Gilbert will have a little romance in it, and I thought that's going to be super wholesome and super sweet. I want to say that doesn't exist in this book. There is no romance in this book at all. So I'm reading the back, and it does say, so she finds a new orphan at Green Gables and wonders about the strange behaviour of a very handsome Gilbert Blythe. And I'm like, cool, romance, right? No, it's just fucking, it's pulling my leg at this rate. Like, there was no romance. And also the orphan she's talking about, Davy, is a serial killer. He is so friggin' disturbed in the mind. He's a weird one. I gave 3 stars. No, I give this 2 stars. I just changed that. So this I give 2 stars. And then Anne of the Island, I gave 3 stars. But that's only because, as you will probably see in one of my reading vlogs, it made me cry. Anne of the Island, it did make me cry. Like, it was obviously very good writing and very good story, but it also was not what I thought it was. That book was absolutely, I don't know what that book was. It was not what I signed up for. I signed up for a romance, and instead I got them chloroforming a cat and someone dying of consumption, and it wasn't what I wanted. Only reason I gave it a 3 stars is because it made me cry. Otherwise, it would have been a 2 stars. So these books are weird. Yeah, I read those ones. They were interesting to say the least. Okay, what else? So, next one. Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne-Jones. I give this one a 3 stars out of 5. I love the animated movie, the Studio Ghibli movie. Like, it is a masterpiece, and I decided I was gonna read this one because I wanted more content. I bought it. It was cute, it was wholesome. It wasn't, I do believe I prefer the movie to the book. I have a theory that whatever you see first, the adaptation of the movie or the books, you will like more. There can be exceptions to the rule, obviously, but I generally like, because you grow attached to that version and you're like, well, this is the version I know. Read this one. I do want to read the next one in the series. It's like not about the same characters, but I still want to read it at some point in my life. So yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. Preferred the movie over the book. Okay, the next one I don't have, but is an amazing read. Actually, so it's Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. And it says here I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I actually might change it to a 5 out of 5. I just then I changed it. I read this book and I loved it so much. So this book is about what's it about? I've read so many gay romances, they're all kind of bleeding in together. One of the guys is like the son of a ex-famous pop star kind of thing. And then the other guy is just this posh man who's rich, I guess, and has rich parents. They're like opposites attract. It's a love story. It's fake dating. So like the one who's the son of the pop star, he has got like a bad name for himself in the media, and he wants like a proper boyfriend so that he can go to this work event, and then the people who he worked for not be like, well, we're firing you because you're bad media. So he like is changing his image. And then the other one has a wedding or like a family event that he has to go to, but his parents are homophobic as frick. So they both pretend to be boyfriends so that they can both just like talk about that instead of everything else in their lives. Like we're like, oh, we have boyfriends now. That was really bad synopsis, but anyway, it was so funny. It was so cute. There's this one scene at the end, spoilers, but so this is like, it's like when they've been together, but then they're like, no, we can't be together. One of them goes to the guy's house and is like, I want to be with you, and the other one's like, no. I don't want to be with you. But he has his friends in the car. Like his friends were like, you have to go to him now. So they're all in the car waiting for them to get together, and then they're in the car and not hearing anything that they're saying, could just see them talking, doesn't know that they're actually been like, he's actually like, no, I don't want to be with you. And his friends are like, kiss, kiss, kiss. It is so freaking funny. It was actually hilarious. I can't like think about it and not laugh. It was amazing. And then I know there's a sequel, Husband Material, and I'm waiting for that to come in on Libby, and I will read that one. But beautiful book. Okay, the next one, The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. I give that a 4 out of 5. It is about this guy owns a company, but he has OCD, I think, and that kind of got in the way of everything, and they kind of like pushed him out of his own company. He decides that he's gonna go onto this TV show to like rebrand himself, and he's like, I'm fine now, I'm on TV, everyone loves me, kind of thing. And then it's a love story between him and one of the guys that's working on the show, and he is I don't know, he's just part of the crew, but he just kind of like helps him, and he like kind of coaches him throughout like the scenes and stuff, and it's like, okay, this is what you have to do, blah 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 blah. And they just fall in love, and it's really sweet. Yeah, and it was just super wholesome, and I enjoyed it so much. And another one where I was kind of like giggling to myself. But there was like this plot line where the famous guy I think he thinks he's asexual, but he's like discovering, he's pansexual. I could be getting all this wrong. Again, I've read so many, I can't really remember. But he's realized that he likes personality over sexuality. And so he's realizing he's falling for this guy, and he's trying to like figure out himself and like what he likes, what he doesn't like. And then the guy who is gay and like knows that he is gay kind of thing is pushing him to believe that that the famous guy isn't gay. He's like, no, you're not, don't worry, you're just confused or something. And I'm just like, I didn't like that aspect. I mean, I know he has really low self-esteem, and he's just like, okay, well, no one can like me kind of thing. But I just didn't like that aspect. I'm like, why are you trying to force someone into thinking that they're not gay? It was weird, but really cute, and a 4 out of 5. And the next one, okay, is, you guessed it, a gay romance. It's called Icebreaker by A.L. Grazadeh. So you know how there's that romance, that straight romance between a hockey player and ice skater, and then everyone's talking about it and it's like massive. Well, I was looking for that on Libby and I found this and I read the synopsis and I'm like, I actually think this sounds better than the book that I'm looking for. So I got it and I read it, and it's about two hockey players on the same team, but they're both going for the same spot in like after college kind of thing. So they're like, they want to be top of the line. Because okay, I don't know how hockey works. They want to be scouted, but they both want to be the top, is what's happening. So they're like competitors, and it's enemies to lovers, and they just kind of like fall in love with each other. And it's again super sweet, super wholesome. 4 out of 5. Like, I loved it so much. Yeah, I didn't really think that I was gonna like it because I don't necessarily watch sports or like sports, and I've never watched hockey in my life and I don't know a single thing about it. But it actually didn't get in the way of anything at all, and I actually realised that if a love story includes sport in it, I won't necessarily hate it. So it's kind of opened up a whole new area for me where I can read sports romances. So that's good. Next one I have, Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. I watched the movie and realised it was a book, and I was like, I like this story, I'll see if I can find the book. Couldn't find the book anywhere. I got it on Libby and I read it. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was just a lot of the same. So it was a lot of getting caught and going to the village and then escaping and then getting caught and going to the village and then being like, we're gonna kill you, but then not getting killed, and then we're gonna kill you if you do this, and then not getting killed. There are people in the book called Silvertongues, and if they read from a book aloud, the things that's happening in the book come to life. So they're like characters or like items, that sort of stuff. They become out of the book and into their world. And then one of the main guys read aloud like a few of the characters from the book Inkheart. So Inkheart is a book in this book, and then it's kind of just about, and he read it aloud, the villains. So it's about the villains trying to get the Silvertongues to read this monster out of the book so that they can take over the world and all that jazz. Anyway, so if you've seen the movie, you'll know the plot of the book. But yeah, so there's a few things from the book that I actually preferred the movie adaptation version. So there's like one of the Silvertongues is really bad at reading. Well, he can't read aloud in a stressful situation. So if he's reading it out, then the person will come out with like a deformity of some kind. And it won't be like the perfect rendition of the character. But in the movie, they come out with like bits of writing on them. I thought that was really good. And then also the character, instead of just like kind of choking up, he has a stutter in the movie, which is, again, I feel like that makes a lot more sense. And then I did read the sequel, Inkspell. I preferred the sequel to the first one. It takes place inside the actual Inkheart book. So they read themselves into the book and into the world. It was a lot more interesting than just like a village, because it just took place in one village in the first one. So this one, they're just sort of going around all the different places, meeting all the different characters, and like there's fairies, and it was very fun and fantastical. There was a couple villains, I just didn't really like them. I'm like, well, I know you're not gonna kill them, but like the whole time it's like, oh, we're gonna kill you, we're gonna get you. Everyone dies in this book. There's no such thing as a happy ending, and then nobody dies. Well, someone does die in the end, but you know that they're just gonna save him again. Because too many times they've like resurrected characters, and I'm like, okay, so no one who dies is actually going to die. So that kind of took like the worry out of it. But I still very much enjoyed it, and I gave it a 3 stars. I think I would have given it a 3.5 if you can do half stars. I do intend on finishing the series. The next one is Ink Death, but I'll read it at some point, but I'm not like, it's not immediate on my to-do list. But the next book that I read, I did it in a reading vlog, and that one is The Book Eaters by Sun Yi Dean. I give that a 4 out of 5 stars. It was a very good book. It was very well written. The story was amazing. There was just a few aspects in there that I just didn't enjoy personally, just a lot of like things on lack of consent. I'll give you a quick synopsis. So pretty much there's these people called book eaters, and they eat books, and then sometimes they can have children that are mind eaters who eat minds, and they like kill people kind of thing, but they have to eat minds to like stay alive. She's trying to escape and find her son a cure for the Mind Eater thing. And it's just like about that, but there's just a lot of things where like women have to have kids and all that jazz, and it annoyed me too much while reading it. And I don't really like reading that sort of stuff. I like reading gay romances. No, I just like reading romances over anything, and that's because I like how wholesome it is and how sweet it is. And I just don't like reading about bad things in the world because there's enough of that as it is. I don't have to read fictional stories about it. But yeah, so I gave that a 4 out of 5 just because it was actually a really good book and really well written, because it became Christmas. I read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I read this one in Melbourne. No, I didn't. I bought this one in Melbourne and then I read it the week of Christmas kind of thing. I gave it 4 stars. 4 out of 5. It was really good, really wholesome, but it was very funny and just a really fun time. And I read it as a audiobook, and it was like being told a story. It was nice. And then I read a few more holiday Christmassy things. I read For Haw Haw by Nathan Burgoyne, and again, that's a Christmas gay romance. It was super wholesome, super sweet. I gave it a 5 out of 5. It was amazing. I was laughing the whole time. I loved the characters. It was so sweet and wholesome, and it was just amazing. And then I also read another one of the Little Village series, and it was Handmaid Holidays. And that one I give 3 out of 5. It was less romance and more like character and like life kind of thing, which was nice. It was a good story, but I read it for the romance. And then we're getting to the end. And then the next book that I read, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. So this one is about, no, I'm not even going to explain it. Everyone knows. It's about Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy and enemies to lovers and falling in love, which is what we love to see. I give this a 4 out of 5. First time I read it when I was, I think, 16 or 17, and I did not understand what was going on. It was too old-timey for me. And then I picked it up again and I realized I could understand what was going on actually at this point. So I decided I was going to reread it. And sometimes, like, you have to just, I don't know, grow up to read a book. Because I've tried reading classics when I was younger and I didn't like them and I didn't fully understand. So like, if I start reading classic and I think, no, I made a note in my head and I'm like, okay, I'll read this at some point in like 5 years, because I obviously can't, I'm not smart enough to comprehend it just yet, because my 16-year-old brain can't wrap my head around it. I don't like Lydia is stuck now with a predator, and I don't like that aspect of the story. Like, I always thought, oh, Lydia's the worst. She deserves what she got. But she's 15. She's 15 and boy crazy. Like, no one deserves to be with their, like, predator. So, like, she got trapped in a marriage. And I don't see how that could have been the best outcome, you know? It's not really fair. And then she, like, in the end, they're like, where is she now? And it's like, oh, she's unhappy and has to live off her siblings' money. And she doesn't love Wickham anymore, and Wickham does not love her. Anyway, so I found that a bit sad. And then lastly, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. It is about a girl who makes a deal with the devil to live forever, and when she doesn't want to live anymore, he can have her soul. But the thing is, no one can remember who she is. Like, the moment they turn away from her, they forget who she is. And no one can say her name. And then there's this other guy who can remember her and can remember her name, and she forms a relationship with him. It took me, again, a year to read. Very slow, very long. It was very character-driven, and I like character-driven things, but only when it's a romance. If it's anything else, I'm just like, this is too slow. I definitely would have preferred it if it was just a love story between her and the devil / like death character. Like, I think it kind of was. It was kind of like a toxic romance between them two, but if it was like actually a romance, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But yeah, so those are all the books that I read in 2022. I read 30 books and my goal was 7. You know, like, I surpassed it greatly. And I'm very proud of myself for that. And again, most of the books that I read were from August, like August to December is when I read them. So it's like 4 months, 5 months of solid reading. I think I read literally like 20 to 25 of the books from that point. So I'm very proud of myself. Like, I can read a lot. So this year, my goal is 30 books, and then we'll see how I go with that. But I've already started Journey to the Center of the Earth, and I've already started The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. So we're starting off strong, and I'm very excited to continue reading in 2023. That's my 2022 wrap up. Some very solid reads, some good ones, and I'm very keen for what's to come. Thank you very much for watching this. I hope you had a very good reading year, and I hope you have a very good reading year in 2023. So, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you tune in for the next one.